What's going on, guys? I'm Landon from Shoe Wear, and today we're checking out the newest basketball shoe from the Jordan brand, the Air Jordan 36 Glory. Here we go. All right, so first, thanks for stopping by to check us out. Feel free to drop a follow or subscribe wherever you're watching this video and leave it a like. We would greatly appreciate that. But now let's go ahead and check out the box and the price for these before we get into the actual review itself. So these come in a pretty sweet white box with some gold trimming on there, as you can see. And last year's model came with the box that's sort of split open from both sides, which that was pretty cool. This one kind of follows a little more of a traditional opening setup, but they did at least add some like Velcro to the front of that box. And then of course you're going to have the word 36 kind of spelled out in that gold font, in that gold color on top, which does give these a pretty nice look as well. It matches the shoe color scheme. But moving on to the price, these are retailing for $185, which is going to be $5 higher than the retail price from last year's model. So if you aren't new to shoes, you kind of know the drill with this shoe line. It is a little more pricey than most signature shoes that each brand puts out are going to be. Speaking of which, I am kind of hoping to see Jordan give another player a signature line soon, since they did recently put out the Zion Williamson ones. And, you know, they just have a lot of young talent like Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic. You know, those guys are studs. Like, stop giving them signature colorways for shoes and just let them take over a line already. That's just my opinion, but now that we're done with that, that pretty much covers the box and the price, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, so before I get into the performance side of these, let's just kind of check out the design for this new Air Jordan 36 model. So there is a lot going on with the look of these. Some of it I like, some of it I don't as much. So first, this kind of white and gold color scheme labeled the Glory colorway kind of seems to be a nod to Team USA winning gold at the Olympics in Tokyo. So that's sort of backed by the insole on these, which kind of has different flags from all around the world on there. So I thought that was a pretty cool touch. And then the gold stripe along the midsole, that does look pretty clean too. If you're checking out the lacing area, you're going to see that like gold Jordan logo that's kind of, it's like a little patch over the laces, which does give these a nice look on this shoe. And then I do like the design of the tongue for these as well, but I will say that it kind of somewhat has a cheap feel to it. But the design on there with like the 36 up near the corner for like the model number, that's a nice touch. But jumping to the back of these shoes, that's something that was actually really cool on the shoe, because they come with like a little foam protector on there that it's on like the makeup part for that heel tab. I like that about this design. It's not really important or anything like that. It's just a little piece that slides off, which is just a really small detail. It's not really necessary, but at the same time, that's kind of what makes shoes kind of exciting, is the small details. But focusing on that region, although I do like the look, I'm a little bit worried about like if you get the back of your foot stepped on, it doesn't really seem like the highest quality of material. So I do kind of wonder how that's going to hold up with repeated use. But that's of course a little bit more speculation than fact right now, with this just coming out. But checking out the Eclipse plate, which is just that little see-through area on like the midsole area of that shoe. They did go to that design a few years back on the Air Jordan 34 model, and they kept it through last year's model, and then of course it does show up here as well. And that Eclipse plate does have a functional purpose that I'm going to hit on in a second. But for me personally, I think it gives these a nice look, although it kind of does take away from the casual use if you're someone who likes to wear these models off the court. I still think it could work though. But just to hit on a few more minor specifics really quick, I do like the gold eyelets on these shoelaces that kind of just like bring out the Olympic gold color scheme just a little bit more. And then the majority of that upper is actually going to be pretty much see-through. So that is, of course, going to keep these extremely breathable. And then to finish it off, Jordan branding shows up on the inside of the tongue as well, just to add some more small detail to the shoe. So I am, if you can't tell, I'm pretty excited for these. I'm a pretty big fan of the overall design as well. There isn't really anything I don't like necessarily, but now let's go ahead and move on from here and check out how these shoes hold up on the court. All right, so for the last half of this review, I'll combine the materials, the comfort, the traction, just basically how these do for performance. So I'm actually really pumped about this shoe overall. Starting off with the cushion, these do feature a full-length Zoom Air Strobel that is stitched directly to the upper, which is some of Nike's best work from like a technology perspective in their shoes. It always feels and it always plays great. So you can actually see also an additional Zoom cushion unit sort of kind of bulging or like popping out the front half of that shoe. It is similar to some previous shoes in that line, but it wasn't like quite as recent when they were using that. Most people don't love it just for the balance side of like these, because Jordan had kind of gotten away from using it, like I mentioned, like in like the 20s, some of the late 20s lines, like 28, 29, 30. I think it's kind of the last time you were seeing that setup, but it actually didn't really bother me. I personally could feel a little extra bounce up there too in that spot, so I didn't mind them going ahead and bringing it back. Although, to be fair, it could have been built into the shoe a little bit higher up into the shoe with the same amount of cushioning without that bulging piece, and it would have given you more or less the same feel. So moving on from that though, these do have a Phylon midsole, which is pretty firm, as you can see here. Not a lot of give to it whenever you apply that pressure, which, you know, that's still fine. But moving on up from the cushion and checking out the upper, this gives off a little more of like an Air Jordan 34 vibe than it does the 35, in my opinion, just kind of based off of the overall look. So Nike uses what they call a durable lino weave upper, kind of reinforced by a TPU ribbon. And TPU is just like something that's used to make shoes more stable, more supportive. And you definitely can feel that with these. And that's a really comforting feeling actually, because you really want that on a shoe that's mostly see-through on that upper, and it still gives you a super locked-in feel. And then especially with this being one of the lighter shoes that Jordan has put out in the shoe line, that's also going to be like more of a common theme. That's kind of a common direction that shoes are going, just to kind of optimize performance by having a lighter shoe, not weighing you down so much. And then going up a little bit higher near the ankle, you have more of like a synthetic material that is pretty much like fake leather, which is a little bit of surprise because they added some like premium leather to that Air Jordan 35 model from last year, and then now they switched it up, or I guess they just kind of took it away on this model, which, you know, it doesn't really bother me. I'm sure that some people are going to miss those leather touches though. And then shifting back down near the midsole on these, of course you still had that Eclipse plate on this model, which is actually kind of interesting because these don't have like an unlocked setup. So the cushioning sensation that Eclipse plate is supposed to function for doesn't really happen on these. But, you know, this is Jordan's third model using that design, and I'm sure some people like the look of being able to kind of see directly through the bottom of that shoe. I'm also sure some people probably don't, but I for one actually like it. Although I do think the Air Jordan 34 model has probably been my favorite from like an appearance standpoint, but I think that Eclipse plate just gives these a really cool touch. And it kind of also takes away some of the casual style, like I said, but it still works in my opinion. But after all, kind of hollowing out that middle part is going to be what keeps these a little bit lighter, since you aren't going to be using some like added materials to add some weight in that region. But then finally jumping down to the bottom of these shoes, the traction is a full front to back herringbone pattern, which we have been seeing a lot of in recent years. And that is, of course, going to be for good reason, because it works really well. So going back to the Air Jordan 34 model, that's where they made the switch to this herringbone pattern, which is just a name for that arrow-like design that you have going on. And it's kind of kept the same basic structure, more or less. They've slightly tweaked it a little bit over the past 3 years, but I don't really see them changing it up soon at all, unless they find something that works better, because this herringbone setup, it just grips the floor really well. And then to finish off with sizing, I went true to size as always, and these fit perfect. Not really a narrow shoe, but also wouldn't classify them as wide either. So depending on your style of play and how you like your shoes to fit, kind of use that judgment to determine if you want to go a half size up for space if you have a little bit wider feet, or a half size down for a little bit more of a tighter feel. But overall, this shoe came out great. This colorway with the metallic gold accents is just super clean, and this is Michael Jordan's shoe line, so I'd expect nothing less. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our unboxing and performance review on this new Air Jordan 36 model. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. If you made it this far, go ahead and drop your favorite color in the comments. Mine's blue, but if you're interested in purchasing these shoes, go ahead and check out the links in our description below. Also, be sure to click the link in our bio, and from there you can find our shoes that are available for sale on our website. You can also head over to our social media just to kind of stay informed on upcoming sneaker releases. And then last, just feel free to leave a comment below. Just let us know if you liked the video or what other shoes you may want us to check out. But until next review, I'm Landon from Shoeworth. Peace.